If I suddenly lost everything and had to start over from scratch, this is what I would do to get my first rental property in the next 90 days. Flipping real estate is great to replace your W-2 income. Wholesaling real estate is great to get cash now. But if you want to build wealth, you have to understand how to buy rental properties, because over time, rental properties will create wealth for you. So in this video, I'm going to go week by week for 90 days and give you an actionable plan to buy your first or your next rental property, all without using any of your own money. You see, I bought $50 million worth of real estate without using a dime of my own money, so I understand how the process works. I mean, I have over 2,100 students now, and a lot of them are building active income and passive wealth all at the same time through what I'm going to teach you in this video. So strap up, buckle in, and get a pen and paper out, and let's go over your 90-day plan. Now, don't worry, you're probably not going to follow to a T because your situation may be slightly different. However, I think this can build some foundational things that you can build upon to maybe buy it in 60 days, maybe 120 days. However long it takes is how long it takes, but this will make it happen faster. And if you want to buy a rental property this year, hit that like button. All right, weeks 1 and 2, I have 3 steps for you. Step number 1, set a clear objective. You need to define your specific investment goal. Do you need more cash now? Are you looking for some passive cash flow? Are you just trying to save money on taxes? What are your specific goals right now? Because if you need more cash now, maybe you should flip this thing after you buy it and fix it up. Or maybe you should try to make it a mid-term or a short-term rental, which will produce more cash flow, but the process is slightly different. So figure out what you need. Do you need active cash flow like a lot of it? Are you okay with making $200, $300, $400 a month? And are you looking for tax savings? So what do you need? Because that will define what you do here going forward. And take a little bit of time on this one. Spend a few hours over a few days figuring out what you specifically need and what you specifically want. Step number 2 in these first couple of weeks is assess your financial readiness. Look at your budget. If you don't have one, make one. See how financially ready you are to own assets. Make sure to find out your credit score. If you have a low credit score, it does limit you as far as holding long-term assets. You can do a ton of things in real estate with a low credit score. However, if you want to own a piece of property and get a long-term loan on it, you do need a decent credit score. What is a decent credit score? Well, in my opinion, that's going to be around 700. If you're below 700, you do have some options, but they're limited. And the further away upwards you get over 700, your options expand. Now, don't worry. If your credit score is low, you can always partner with somebody and use their credit and use your knowledge and skills to make it so you can buy rental properties now. If you don't have that person, flipping or wholesaling is not a horrible option right now. But again, you have to find out these things so you know what to do next. And make sure you have a little bit of an emergency fund. Now, you don't need a ton. You don't need $100,000 in the bank. I would say anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 in the bank that you can set aside in case you need it once you get this ball rolling. I had about $4,000 in my savings account when I got started. I didn't end up ever having to tap into my personal checking or my personal savings, but it was nice to have it there. Although looking back, it wasn't a ton. Step number 3 in these first couple weeks is educate yourself. Now, this video will help, but I have over 1,000 videos on this channel that talk through every single thing you need to know. Shoot, I have videos where I walk you through a real life property. I have videos where I talk through how to find private lenders, how to find leads, how to find deals, what's the difference between wholesaling, flipping, and renting. I have all of those videos on this channel. And of course, there are other great channels out there you can learn from, but you have to learn enough to build the confidence to take action. You're a human. Humans are here because we have that gene that's like, hey, that risk assessment, hey, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? I need to build some confidence before I actually take action in whatever you're doing. This is no different, but as your knowledge grows, your confidence grows. And as your confidence grows, your willingness to take action will follow. So get a base level of information. You're not going to learn everything, and you're not going to become a multimillionaire just by knowing things. You have to actually do things, but poke around on this channel. I have my podcast, the FasterFreedom Show, that comes out with 1 to 2 episodes every week that can dive a lot deeper into these types of things, as well as all the other free resources on the internet. When you're educating yourself, educate yourself on what specific markets you're looking to invest in. Ideally, you're going to be investing and buying rental properties in your backyard. However, not every state and city is good to own long-term rentals in. California wouldn't do it. Oregon wouldn't do it. Indiana, Missouri, Tennessee would do it. In general, the Midwest and the Southeast are the best to own long-term rental properties. If you live in an area that's not one of those, it can still work. It just might look a little bit differently, or you can invest remotely. Out of my 2,100 students, about 30% of them invest remotely, meaning they live in LA and they invest here in St. Louis. So you can do it no matter where you live. Ideally, it should be in your backyard, but these are the types of things that you're going to be looking into when you're doing your research and upping your education level so you know what to look for. You want a place that's growing population, that has landlord-friendly laws, that has low taxes and low cost of living while people are moving there, which right now in our current environment is the Midwest and the Southeast. All right, let's look into week 3 and 4 right now. And as you can see, I'm giving you actionable, tangible things to do. I'm not saying go buy a rental property week 1. We are slowly working our way into this. So at the end of this, you should hopefully, if you follow these steps generally, have a really good chance at getting that first property or that next property. Number 1, explore financial options. Research the types of loans that you're going to be getting specifically on the long-term side. On the short-term side, you're going to be using private lenders or hard money lenders or your own cash. That's all pretty simple. But on the long-term side, you have a lot of options. Do you want to do a residential loan in your personal name? Can you take advantage of an FHA loan or USDA loan with little to no money down and just go ahead and buy a property? Should you be using small local banks or DSCR lenders? Those are the types of things to look into. I would just go to ChatGPT or search my channel for long-term financing options for rental properties and start to poke around and see what makes most sense for you. If you're not a veteran, you can't get a VA loan. But if you are a veteran, getting that 0% down VA loan could be huge to help get this ball rolling for you. And number 2, once you understand what financial options are best for you, go ahead and get pre-approved, and this works for the whole process. Now, I mainly talk about the BRRRR method on this channel, which stands for Buy, Rehab, Rent, Refinance, and Systemize, and here's a video up here that walks you through what that method actually is, and that's the method I use to buy real estate using none of my own money and own it long-term. But in general, get some pre-approvals. Talk with private lenders and hard money lenders on the short-term funding side. They're gonna fund your purchase and your rehab, so talk to them and start to get some type of pre-approval or guidance limit between them so you know what price range you can be going at for the purchase and you have some approval so you can make strong offers. And then on that long-term side, see what types of options you have. Small local banks, see what types of loans they're willing to approve for you, or even DSCR lenders, see what types of loans they'll approve for you. If you're having trouble finding all that and it doesn't make sense to you, don't worry. You will hopefully have learned more. I mean, shoot, we're 3-4 weeks in now. We will have learned what a lot of that lingo means in those first couple weeks. And as always, check out the description of this video. I have links to more free training where I don't collect any of your information, your phone number, or your email address. And I also have links to my capital company where I can fund your purchase and your rehab, and I can fund your long-term 30-year DSCR loan. So I can fund it all for you, or you can go find it on your own. Just know that this is a general foundational video. You're going to be learning a lot of these things as you work your way through the process. All right, let's move on to weeks 5 and 6. Step number 1, identify your specific areas you're going to be investing in. Hopefully you figured out in the last few weeks if you're going to invest in your backyard, meaning the city you live in, or if you're going to invest remotely in another city in the Midwest or the Southeast. But once you narrow that market down, here's where you get to niche down and find specific areas to invest in. St. Louis, for example, it's my hometown, so I know it very well, but you're not going to want to invest in North City. That's really the rough area. If you hear any bad news about St. Louis being dangerous or violent, it's North City, and it's actually over in Illinois in East St. Louis. Out west, northwest a little bit outside of the city and the county are all great areas to own rental properties, and even South City is spotty but generally good. So the fact that I know that because I've been here and live here and invest here, you need to have that type of knowledge of wherever you're looking to invest, because every city has really good areas, mid-level areas, and really bad areas you want to avoid. So do some research in that city. If you don't live there, talk to other investors who live there and start to get a feel for where you should be investing. Step 2 now, we're starting to have a little bit more fun. This is where you're going to niche down to specifically your avatar of what you want to invest in. Now you're going to learn this as you go, and your first shot is kind of just throwing darts at a dartboard, closing your eyes. However, there are some parameters you're probably going to want to look for. In general, if you want to own the property long term and own it as a rental property, you probably shouldn't be buying anything that was built in 1885 or 1920. That is just potentially a recipe for a disaster with the type of construction, the foundation, the electrical, all of those things that were done back then, if they weren't updated, or even if they were, who really knows? So in general, what you want to look for is properties that are a little bit newer in good areas and develop that avatar. Like my avatar is anywhere in St. Louis that's a good area in a good school district within about 45 minutes of my office. I like houses that were built 1960 or later. I like to have 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. I will be a little bit flexible on that if it's a really good deal, but those are the types of specific properties I look for. I look for anything with an ARV from 200 to 400,000 that cash flows. So that's the type of avatar that you can steal from me if you want in whatever market you're in or in St. Louis. But those are the types of things to look for, because you're going to find out, if you haven't already, real estate is a massive, massive industry. There is so much real estate out there. It is not even funny. So in pretty much any market, you're going to be able to niche down to what you're specifically wanting. And if you just look for anything in any area, in any condition, built anytime, you're going to be wading through a bunch of crap and you're going to be wasting your time. So start to narrow things down just slightly so you know what to look for when things come across your plate and you're able to strike while the iron's hot. Week 7 and 8 is searching for properties. Now it's getting really fun. So step 1 is going to be engage with real estate professionals. You're going to want to engage with people that you're going to use throughout the process. Well, what is that? That means you have to engage with people that are going to fund you the deal. Private lenders, hard money lenders continue to work through that. You're going to have to engage with people that are going to bring you the deal. So we're talking wholesalers, who are people that go out and find distressed properties and sell them to you. Real estate agents, the one that understands real estate investors, and other real estate professionals you're going to be needing along the way. If you have a pen or you're on your phone, maybe write this down. You're going to need to find wholesalers, real estate agents, funding sources, title companies, or real estate lawyers, depending on what your state is and how you close. You're going to need to talk to insurance agents to get the property insured, contractors to work on the property, property management companies to manage the property if you're not going to manage it themselves, and then banks or DSCR lenders for the long-term funding. Now, there's a few more ones that you're going to have to deal with, but in general, if you start to build relationships with those professionals as you start to buy properties and get them under contract, that's who you're going to lean on throughout the entire process. And you're going to find them as you're going through it, but it's nice to get ahead of that a little bit now. And you can meet all of these people, every single one of them, at your local real estate investing meetup. So go to meetup.com, find your local real estate investing meetups, join your local real estate investing Facebook groups, and just ask around to other investors in the area and find out who they use. You would be shocked that if you go to 1 or 2 meetups in the next few weeks and start to talk and connect with people, you'll find everybody that I just mentioned, and you'll have multiple options at each stage. You just have to go out and connect and network with people. Step number 2, start to analyze properties. You're going to get sent properties through all of the sources I just mentioned. Some of them won't be deals. In fact, most of them won't be deals, but you're going to get practice analyzing them and underwriting them. As an additional bonus, I have a rehab calculator and a cash flow calculator that I will give you for free. Just hang around to the end. We're almost there, and I'll tell you where to find that. So start to practice underwriting these deals, and using tools online, using AI, and using my calculators, you're able to analyze a lot of deals very quickly. I remember when I got started, I was looking on Zillow at the for sales and recently sold. I was using an Excel spreadsheet and making up the formulas to try to figure out what to offer. I didn't know what to include in the cash flow formula. I didn't know how much rehabs cost. It was kind of a mess, but I made it through just simply by getting my calculators and utilizing the information that's online that wasn't back then in 2014. You'll be able to get pretty comfortable even before you make your first solid offer. Weeks 9 and 10 are conduct due diligence on properties that you have under contract. Now, this may seem a little bit out of reach right now, depending on where you are and your experience, but if you follow this plan, eventually you're going to get a property under contract. It could be in week 7 or 8, 9 or 10, or might be in week 18 or 19. Who knows with what you do, how much time you have, and how confident you are at moving this process forward, but eventually you will get to this step. And this is where you need to start to do some due diligence to ensure that you're getting a deal, that there's enough equity and cash flow to make it work. Step 1 here is perform a property inspection. I would probably hire out a professional inspector or talk with a professional experienced real estate investor and have them walk the property with you. My first several properties, we hired an inspector for a few $100s to inspect the property, crawl up on the roof, get in the attic, crawl space, whatever that may look like, and make sure everything was structurally sound and there were going to be no huge surprises. Now, naturally, there are going to be surprises. However, if you're able to make sure that these big structural or foundational surprises don't sneak up on you, you're able to take a lot of the risk out of this. And then eventually you understand what to look for by looking at the inspections and getting experience, and you won't have to hire somebody out. Step number 2 here is review the financials and dig in a little bit deeper. Talk to the local municipalities, make sure everything is zoned properly. Talk with the title company to make sure everything is progressing there and you're able to get clean title, and make sure that you line up your funding and your contractors to get this property purchased smoothly and on time, and to have them start to rehab as soon as possible, because if you're waiting weeks and weeks after the property closes to work on it, you're literally burning cash because you probably borrowed money to buy this property and you're paying them, or you're eventually going to pay them for time you're not working on it. So just be ready to step on the gas as soon as closing happens. Weeks 11 and 12, you're in it now. That's my title for these steps. This is when you're actively making offers. This is when you're actively setting everything up and potentially closing and lining things up and dealing with contractors and dealing with title companies and making sure everything is moving and progressing further. Now, there's no real steps in here except you're just going to have to figure it out. There are a few tips I'd like to give you once you get the property rocking and rolling. Be as clear and concise as possible in your communications and your expectations with whoever you're dealing with, whether it be the real estate agent, the closing company, your lenders, especially the contractors. Be clear and concise with your communication, and there is no such thing as over communication. I see the best real estate investors over communicate with their contractors. You have a busy life. You're not going to be able to check on the rehab project every day for 2 hours, but what you can do is you can have the contractor FaceTime you there every other day. You can at least try to swing by once a week. You can set up a scope in the kitchen of every single thing that needs to be done to the project so the contractor can check them off as they go. You can have a general contractor running the entire thing for you, or you can be the general contractor and piecemeal all the trades together. Just make sure everybody's on the same page and you have that specific order that you want to go through. There are lots of ways to do it right and a few ways to do it wrong, but in general, just surround yourself with good contractors that understand what it's like to work with real estate investors. Surround yourself with good real estate investors that understand what it's like to run a project and rehab a project. You'd be surprised at how many people and other investors you meet at local meetups and online on Facebook groups that are willing to lend you an ear and help you along the way through the progress, because most real estate investors like to help other real estate investors, whether that's vanity, showing that they know a lot and hey, I'm more experienced than you, look at me, or genuinely want to help, or selfishly want to help because they know that if they develop a relationship with you, maybe you'll buy a house from them in the future, or maybe they'll buy a house from you in the future. So I know a lot of real estate investors that are completely surprised at other seasoned real estate investors and how much they're willing to help. All right, so that's the plan. I know it was a lot, but take it step by step. Don't worry about the exact timetables. Just work through that progress, work through that process, and you will eventually get a deal. I have students that get a deal in their first 2 weeks, and I have students that take 6 months to get their first deal. It will happen if you consistently stick with this. Real estate provides so much flexibility, whether you're buying rentals, you're flipping, or you're wholesaling, you have a ton of different options. Check out this video over here that I promised earlier that will walk you through the BRRRR method and how you can actually buy this real estate without using any of your own money. And make sure to check out the description for those freebies and those funding sources. Lastly, comment with how many rental properties you want to buy this year in 2025. See you on the next one.